But since it was the position of many that the world was always and of necessity, and they tried to demonstrate this, it remains to state their reasons in order to show that they do not necessarily conclude the eternity of the world. First, however, the reasons which are taken from God's side must be set forth. Secondly, those which are taken from the part of the creature. Thirdly, which are taken from the mode of making things, according to which they are supposed to begin anew. On the part of God, reasons of this kind are taken to show the eternity of the world. Every agent which does not always act is moved by itself or by accident. By itself, like a fire which did not always burn, it begins to burn either because it is kindled anew, or because it is transferred anew, so that it is close to the combustible. But by accident, just as the motor of an animal begins to move anew by some new movement made around it, or from the outside, as when actions come anew leading to the initiation of some action anew. But God is not moved either by himself or by accident, as was proved in the first place. Therefore God always acts in the same way, but by their own action created things consist in being. Therefore there have always been creatures. Still, the effect proceeds from the cause acting through its action. But the action of God is eternal. Otherwise it would be from the acting power to the acting act, and it would be necessary that it should be brought back into action by some previous agent, which is impossible. Therefore, things created by God have existed from eternity. Further, having established a sufficient cause, it is necessary to establish an effect. For if still, when the cause is given, it is not necessary to give effect, then it will be possible, when the cause is given, for the effect to be and not to be. Therefore the consequence of the effect will be only possible to the cause. But what is possible needs something by which it can be brought into action. It will therefore be necessary to posit some cause by which the effect may be reduced to an act. And so the first cause was not sufficient. But God is the sufficient cause of the production of creatures. Otherwise he would not be the cause, but would rather have himself as the cause in power, for it would be caused by something added, which is obviously impossible. It seems necessary, therefore, that since God was from eternity, that the creature also was from eternity. Again, an agent by will does not delay the execution of his purpose in doing something, except because of something expected in the future which is not yet present. And this is sometimes in the agent himself, as when the perfection of the power to act is expected, or the removal of something hindering the power. But sometimes it is outside the agent, as when the presence of someone before whom the action takes place is expected, or at least when the presence of some opportune moment is expected which is not yet present. For if the will is complete, the power is immediately executed unless there is a deficiency in it, just as the movement of the member immediately follows the control of the will, unless there is a deficiency of the power that motivates the movement of the executor. And from this it is clear that when someone wants to do something, and it is not done immediately, it must be that either this is due to a lack of power, who is expected to be removed, or because the will is not complete to do this. Now I say that the will is complete when he wants to do this, absolutely by all means, but the will is incomplete when someone does not want to do this absolutely, but with the existence of some condition which is not yet present, or unless the hindrance which is present is removed. Now it is certain that whatever God wills now to be, he has willed it to be from eternity. For no new movement of the will can come to him, nor could there be any deficiency or hindrance to his power, nor could anything else be expected for the production of the universal creature, since nothing else is uncreated but himself alone, as was shown above. It seems necessary, then, that he should have produced a creature from eternity into being. But the will is incomplete when someone does not want to do this absolutely, but with the existence of some condition which is not yet present, or unless the hindrance which is present is removed. Now it is certain that whatever God wills now to be, he has willed it to be from eternity, for no new movement of the will can come to him. Nor could there be any deficiency or hindrance to his power, nor could anything else be expected for the production of the universal creature, since nothing else is uncreated but himself alone, as was shown above. It seems necessary, then, that he should have produced a creature from eternity into being. But the will is incomplete when someone does not want to do this absolutely, but with the existence of some condition which is not yet present, or unless the hindrance which is present is removed. Now it is certain that whatever God wills now to be, he has willed it to be from eternity, for no new movement of the will can come to him, nor could there be any deficiency or hindrance to his power, nor could anything else be expected for the production of the universal creature, since nothing else is uncreated but himself alone, as was shown above. It seems necessary, then, that he should have produced a creature from eternity into being, for no new movement of the will can come to him, nor could there be any deficiency or hindrance to his power, nor could anything else be expected for the production of the universal creature, since nothing else is uncreated but himself alone, as was shown above. It seems necessary, then, that he should have produced a creature from eternity into being, for no new movement of the will can come to him, nor could there be any deficiency or hindrance to his power, nor could anything else be expected for the production of the universal creature, since nothing else is uncreated but himself alone, as was shown above. It seems necessary, then, that he should have produced a creature from eternity into being. In addition, an agent by understanding does not prefer one to the other, except because of the superiority of the one to the other. But where there is no difference, there cannot be preeminence. Therefore, where there is no difference, there is no pre-election of one over the other. And for this reason, there will be no action equally from the agent towards anyone having himself, just as there will be no action from matter. For such a power is likened to the power of matter. But there can be no difference between non-being and non-being. Therefore, the non-existence of the one is not preferable to the other. But apart from the whole universe of creatures, there is nothing but the eternity of God. But in nothing can be assigned any differences of moments, so that something should be done in one more than in another, nor in the same way in eternity, which is entirely uniform and simple, as was shown in the first. It remains, therefore, that the will of God is equally concerned with producing creation throughout all eternity. Therefore, either his will is about the fact that the creature is never established under his eternity, or that it always is. Now it is clear that it is not his will from the fact that a creature is never constituted under his eternal being, since it is clear that creatures are instituted by his will. It is therefore left out of necessity, as it seems, that the creature has always been. Still, those things which are for an end have necessity from the end, and especially in those things which are done by the will. It is therefore necessary that, having the end in the same way, those things which are to the end should have or be produced in the same way, unless a new attitude of theirs to the end comes. But the end of creatures proceeding from the divine will is divine goodness, which alone can be the end of the divine will. Since therefore the divine goodness exists in itself in the same way in all eternity, and in relation to the divine will, It seems that in the same way creatures are brought into being by the divine will in all eternity. It was not before some definite time from which they are supposed to have begun. Still, since the divine goodness is most perfect, it is not said in this way that all things proceeded from God because of his goodness, so that something from creatures might increase to him, but because it is goodness that he should communicate himself as much as possible, in which goodness itself is manifested. But when all things partake of God's goodness in so far as they have being, inasmuch as they are more lasting, they partake more of God's goodness, whence also the perpetual existence of a species is said to be divine. But the divine goodness is infinite. Therefore it is his to communicate himself to infinity, not only for a certain time. This therefore seems to belong to the divine goodness, that some creatures have been from eternity. These things therefore are received from the part of God, by which it appears that creatures have always existed.